In the story that wouldn't die, a small business owner dies in a car accident, but Jolene Garcia is not convinced it was an accident because he had been asking questions about who keeps getting lucrative deals at City Hall. They are questions powerful people do not want answered. The more Jolene digs, the more things she uncovers, and someone is out to kill her story and maybe her. My character, Jolene, is a little like me in that she's from the Midwest and she moved out here and felt very out of place. She's not like me because I'm well beyond 29 years old now. But another way that I pulled on my personal experiences in creating Jolene was I created a background of her being in foster care because I'm a former foster parent. So that really helped me create a character that I cared deeply about. And so that is sort of a deeper theme or thread throughout the story. As I mentioned, Jolene is really seeking recognition, not just as a reporter, but also because of her childhood and not really having anybody around who was really supportive of her and rooting for her. And she didn't really feel any parental or love from a family member. So that's what really drives her, in addition to wanting to be a good reporter. So in the story that wouldn't die, Jolene meets somebody, I mean, has maybe a 10-minute conversation with this person and then finds out later that this person dies. And she's not convinced it was an accident. And she really, in that 10 minutes, really developed a deep connection with this person. So she feels compelled to find out what happened to him, not just because of a story as a reporter, but because she cares about him and the people who cared about him. I love Jolene's next door neighbor. She is a nosy neighbor named Norma, and I like to think I'm more like Norma now than I am like Jolene. As I get older, I'm like the neighbor who I'm not getting in your business, but I'm just aware of who's out there, who's doing what, just in case somebody's lurking around your windows. So I love Norma because she's an older person in Jolene's world who is trying to be supportive, and Jolene, darn it, just still doesn't see it yet. But I think in the story that wouldn't die, she's starting to see it, which is great. I also have a favorite photographer. Nate is Jolene's favorite photographer, and he's a wonderful person. He also calls her out when she needs called out, when she is crossing the line or about to cross a line, or she's so laser focused on a story. I think the quote that I gave him in the book was, sometimes when you play reporter, you forget what it's like to be a human being. I love the plot for the story that wouldn't die because it was inspired by 9 years of me covering City Hall in Phoenix. And what I never intended was to actually be working inside City Hall when my book came out. So after 9 years of covering City Hall, I recently took a job as the communications director for the vice mayor of Phoenix. So it's very interesting, a little scary, for real surreal. It will be interesting to start hearing people's comments about it. But the story that wouldn't die is absolutely inspired by my real reporting experiences. There is a story thread about development and displacement and what happens when a property owner decides they want to kick the people out because they can build something more expensive there, and where do people go? And I also, you may appreciate this, Jake, based on your Nashville example. I had a little fun in creating some characters in the story that wouldn't die. I have a lobbyist who works for developers, and I named him Rich Gaines. And I have a neighborhood activist that I named Fred NIMBY, NIMBY, which for people who know a lot about local government stands for not in my backyard. So if somebody shows up to complain about something, some people will under their breath say, oh, there's a NIMBY. So I named that character NIMBY as an a little inside baseball for people who follow that stuff. But I love local government. I mean, I would have stayed in local TV news, but no one wanted me to cover local government. So that's why I went to public radio, where I spent 9 years covering Phoenix City Hall. And I just love local government because it is the most accessible to us. We deal with it every day, right? The minute you step outside your door, it's your streets, it's your police, it's your fire, it's your parks, it's your libraries, it's your water, it's everything. And so I find it fascinating and public policy and how it impacts our daily lives and how it impacts where things are built and whether a developer will be able to come in and build what they want to build and change a neighborhood and alter people's lives.